actually this year we've also, or through last year, some of us had the privilege of working with the group also taking themselves down a similar sort of journey. And the group have been through the EDGE journey, which I'll talk about a little bit in a minute and show you a little video about that. And that's about building where they've got to. They're talking about, well, we're building the present, but we're creating the future. And that very much aligns with the same sort of strategy and ethos. And the components to how the group want to get there, and what their reaction to where's Back in Shape go in terms of how you create the future. For a start, one of the things you'll hear them talk about is, and you may have heard Rob talk about this today, is just doing things better. And that's simply about just stop doing the bad things to us. So we talk about the projects that give us the problems. So when I talked about the quality of our order book, if the quality of the order book's all good, but it's a little bit smaller, that's not a bad place to be. That's a much better place to be. And that's about doing things better, projects in control, and keeping away from the jobs that cause us pain. And then they're talking about doing better things. So that's about using our skills to do some things that we perhaps don't currently do. Now, one of the areas in that we're trying to do a bit more, one we're going to develop over the next year or two, is trying to actually use our knowledge and our skills to sell services to people who wouldn't ordinarily sell them to. So that's starting to offer some potential consultancy allied to what we do in the construction market, but maybe from projects we don't ultimately build, about helping people solve their problems regardless of whether we take part in the construction. And that's another component. And then finally, the group are talking about doing new things. And that's where the future is. And that's what the EDGE journey is about. That's about the things that I just referred to, about what does the future hold and how the construction industry really needs to come at things very differently and do things in a different way. And we're a slow industry to change. We still lay bricks the same way as we laid them 200 years ago. We still pour concrete the same way as we poured it on the Panama Canal. We're not going to be doing that in 20 or 30 years' time. And doing new things is about how we're going to get the sea change in this industry. And certainly the EDGE journey that we were involved in was very much about that as well, about the thinking of the EDGE. So the group's strategy is to have for today is 70% of doing things better, 20% of doing better things, and 10% of doing new things. But by 2020 and 2025, they want to see that flipped round. So the group's starting to do very new things. I'll just give you a little insight of what we did on the EDGE journey for those that weren't so lucky to be able to join us. A little short video of some of the stuff that went on.
What can we learn from the future? What can we see when we look into the future development? Back in Shape on track, delivering our savings and our working capital improvements.
This is the start of a new BAM for the future.
Today we think outside the box. Today we have the opportunity to really think about 2020. What would BAM look like?
Robotics, 3D printing,
drones.
And these technologies are all impacting your business today.
So you have to constantly innovate, being on top, make it better by the day.
Puberty is over. So the next step is maturity.
What is the world of infrastructure going to look like?
What enables a high-performance, livable, entrepreneurial city?
Humanity has always dreamed about going high, about going from the pyramids to the Eiffel Tower, about creating something that goes into the sky.
Basically, we're moving from a centrally organized world to one that's organized through networks.
It is an imperative. You have to figure out ways to, first of all, harness the technology, but more importantly, find ways to create viable businesses around the technology. Because if you don't, you will be marginalized.
4 billion people additionally online, also sharing their preferences in terms of homes, building, construction. Think about the possibilities.
Start trying. You're too late if you made a prototype. Because if you're too late, then we enter into a disruption, and that's not where we want to be, clearly.
And whoever the early adopters are that manage to take advantage of these organizational changes and also technology changes will have the advantage in the industry going forward. The question comes in, how do you scale the organization, which has always been painfully incremental and linear?
Working in collaboration.
Are we going to own buildings, constructions?
We need to mainly adapt our culture.
So at first it's like, I don't want to make that step. But then they see the upside that it's getting more efficient. We had our struggles, in every place.
We're of course in a sector where we do hardware. And it's difficult for us to accept mistakes. And we should try to learn to make mistakes in our minds or in our brains or in what we invent.
I think what you can say is that this whole process today is taking us way out of our normal comfort zone.
You know, construction is a traditional business, yeah? And I think what I've taken away from all these sessions, but especially today, is two things. One is the value of youth, but also the fact that we have to keep in touch with the future.
We move our good ideas in our daily business.
Small moves can set large things in motion. It's all about mobilizing potential.
As it scales, can change the world in ways that are unimaginable.
What we've seen today, what we've shown each other today, that's something we're able to do, just as improving the current business.
I do think that making things happen is what we are.
There are building blocks like processes, there's good ideas and people, so we have to develop this together. And this is big stuff. This is what we have to learn.